What's going on, everybody? It's Scotty here with Flat Track Flashback. And man, I haven't seen a whole lot of media coverage over American Flat Track this weekend, but how can we not talk about everything that went down at the Sturgis Short Track, the Jack Pine Gypsy Short Track, the two rounds that they had there Monday and Tuesday earlier this week? Man, I was locked in. My Knoxville Nationals commitments didn't start until Wednesday, so I was able to catch all the racing there. Whew. Couple of late nights for us over here on the East Coast. That mountain time is no joke. I guess we're lucky it wasn't out all the way out on Pacific time, but some late nights that led into not just late nights, but nearly sleepless nights with some of the drama that we experienced out there in Sturgis. So yeah, we'll break down the classes super quick. There's so many things that I'd love to talk about. Maybe we'll get into those at a later episode. At the time we're recording this, man, it's like 1 a.m. Eastern on Friday morning. Just got off of a broadcast, but I wanted to try to get something out real quick before the Sturgis TT takes place there at Jack Pine Gypsies on Friday. So we've got some drama stirred up. Let's talk about that real quick. We're going to lead things off with all the racing in the twins class, and then jump into the singles, and then we'll get out of your hair for the day. But just, we can't let these stories die. So you had Triple Challenge night there on Monday. That track was rough. That track was gnarly, and they had to do a lot of work on it. A lot of rain in the area, which obviously affected things, but a rough track, a super small track. And let's not forget that this is the shortest of short tracks. You could pretty much put it in most people's living rooms, I feel like. This place was tiny. You're going to be bar banging. It's effectively an indoor without a roof, which I know doesn't make sense, but as far as how big the track is, that's what it pretty much felt like. So look, we had the best guys all packed in there, all tightly contested. And the Triple Challenge, it gave us a fun storyline heading into both main events. For the twins class, Briar Bauman gets the first win. Dallas Daniels gets the better of him in the second race, and Dallas almost looked like he could just keep that bike lower on the racetrack at that time during Friday's portion of the Triple Challenge. It was to me watching it, almost looked like he found a rut, was able to keep the bike in the rut, whereas Briar was leaving the door open and Dallas was able to pounce, and they split victories there on Monday night coming into the third main event. And talk about Dallas keeping it lower. Well, Briar would send it up the inside going into 1 and 2 on Monday night, take the lead there in that final Triple Challenge race, was able to come home with an overall victory, a big time victory for him that night. It made him the all-time leader in short track races at the premier level in American Flat Track Racing, his 10th, and then gave him sole possession of 10th all-time on the wins list. So Briar, a big night there on Monday over Dallas in the overall. Brandon Robinson put together a strong night. He comes home third overall that night. And Max Whale, the killer whale on the Royal Enfield, puts it up there in the top 5. His best finish of the year. Really impressive ride from him as well. Handful of guys struggling, a couple of riders sitting the deck. Tough night for Davis Fisher, really tough night there for Declan Bender on the opening night as well. Yeah, a lot of shakeups there, and sort of that middle pack from that battle from third on to fifth, and then on down the running order. So here's the storyline. We can't let it go, right? I mean, we have to talk about how spicy this stuff was. So Tuesday night, the normal night, no Triple Challenge, just your standard American Flat Track program. We're going about things, again, a little bit smoother, but even more one line, not as rough as we're going through the night. You got to kind of get a whole shot, lock down, very follow the leader there that second night. And then the main events roll around. And it got a little, widened out. Guys were able to run like sort of that second lane off the bottom and make it work. In this twins program on the second night, Dallas Daniels was the class of the field throughout the day. He was just faster than everybody. His heat race was a full second faster than Briar's. Briar pointed out that, he didn't, wasn't quite there, wasn't quite at Dallas's level in the heat race. And Dallas would also get the win in the Mission Challenge that night. And Dallas admitted that he felt like he hasn't been performing at the level that he should be for this Essenson team. Maybe a little bit of extra pressure on himself throughout this season, where they came in obviously the title favorites. We all sort of felt that way, but Briar Bauman and that Rick Ware Racing team has put that Harley Davidson XG on top of the box 6 times to Dallas's 4 coming into Tuesday night there at Sturgis. And Dallas will get the early lead, but Brandon Robinson gets by him, is able to take over the lead, and then snap. Coming off of turn 4, they're about midway into the race. There's a slight opening where Dallas was closing the door on entry, but then had a slight gap where Briar had opened up his entry, was squaring under. Briar found room, shot the gap, was as low as he could go, but they made contact, and that caused Dallas to take a pretty tough tumble there out of turn 4. Not only are they in a clash metaphorically with each other in this championship, now physically clashing on the racetrack. Daniels gets the worst of it. He goes down. Breyer stays up, but Breyer would be penalized there on the restart. He'd have to go to the back and start behind Dallas Daniels. On the restart, Brandon Robinson gets out front. He's able to control the rest of this race. The other two, they're fighting their way through the pack. And Breyer, honestly, like after everything that happened, Dallas continued to sort of leave openings there. It's like he was trying to get that second line to work. Breyer's able to get around Dallas. I felt like he was honestly being kind of nice the rest of the race. And, by short track standards, was being really polite, moving through the pack. And Breyer's able to work his way all the way back up to third. Daniels gets sort of stuck there, trying to get around Dan Bromley late in the race, isn't able to clear him and has to settle for fifth. Before we dive into that any further, let's give a huge shout out to Brandon Robinson, finally breaking through and getting that victory. Finally, we get a third winner on the season, and that team has been fighting and scrapping and clawing all season long. And we thought we were going to get a little bit more victories out of Brandon, but he finally breaks through and gets that win, and that's so awesome for that team. Jerry Stinchfield team has had, it's just so many easy guys to pull for it under that tent between Cage Chapman and what he was able to accomplish in California, and Terrence Santero and Brandon Robinson. So cool to see Brandon get that Harley Davidson XG victory for himself and get another win on his tally for his career, and finally break through here in 2025 for a victory on a short track where he's found a lot of success with the American Flat Track season, winning several short tracks himself. So congratulations to Brandon. But now let's skirt back to that clash of our championship contenders. And maybe there's people who are you saw after the race, Dallas and Breyer exchanged words. It's pretty heated, and I can understand Dallas's frustration. He mentioned the pressure that's got to be on himself, but also getting taken out. Even though it wasn't a dirty move, I don't think. Breyer apologized on the podium. I felt like he was almost too apologetic. We got to think back, man. Some of the recent championship rivals, like Jared Mees is going to take that opening. And if you guys get knocked down, it is what it is. And Jared might not have been as apologetic. Nobody wants to knock somebody down for a spot, but it's racing sometimes, and you're on a short track, a very short track, and those things are going to happen. So I do understand Dallas's frustration with getting knocked down when they're fighting for positions and in this championship. But at the same time, it's just one of those deals. I'm not going to say Breyer did anything dirty. I know he feels bad. These are two dogs that are going after the top prize in our sport, and it's going to boil over at times. There can only be one winner in this championship, and you're going to have to really get after it. It's these short tracks. You're going to see it. It's going to happen that way. Now, if things start to spill over like that onto some of these larger tracks and onto the miles, then I might take a little bit of issue with how the racing is. But look, we've seen these clashes for championships in the past, and you're gonna have that. We just have to kind of expect it, especially on those tight confines of those tracks like the Jack Pine Gypsy short track. So they'll move on. They'll move into the TT, and you have to wonder, like, is this gonna be sort of that canon event that creates the monster in Dallas and makes him take that extra level to find that extra screw you inside of him that takes him to that championship level? Does he last year when Jared Mees had the disqualification there at the Sturgis TT, he went on a tear in Springfield and Lake Ozark to just grab that championship and dominate the rest of the season. Does this frustrating event in Sturgis, South Dakota, light a fire under Dallas and make him become that just unstoppable force through the rest of the season? Or does it hang over him? Does it light a fire in Breyer now to where Breyer wants to, I know he wants to win it, obviously, but does Breyer become that guy that just becomes unstoppable? Both of them have the prowess to take home victories on TTs. From what we got to hear, at least, about the amateur race there at Peoria, Dallas was incredibly strong when Breyer was there as well. But how much stock do you put into the outlaw event versus when the AFT field lines up? The Sturgis TT is going to be a total unknown, but man, it's going to be spicy. It's going to be a really tight racetrack. You're probably going to have to move some guys out of the way once again. So we'll just have to see how it all plays out. But look, these guys are incredibly likable riders. They're incredibly likable personalities, and they have given us the biggest treat of all as fans with this championship battle, with the level that they have elevated to. Here we go. We've had them collide on the racetrack, and now you take the gloves off. One-on-one pretty much for the championship, bare knuckle fight all the way to the finish. 2 TTs, 2 miles, 1 more short track, 5 total rounds. And I have to give the edge to to Dallas Daniels on those miles when they go to Springfield. Just kind of don't know what to expect with the Harley Davidson that Breyer had. He, had it let go there in DuQuoin on the last lap where the battery died on him. He had to settle for fifth. It was his worst result of the year, but man, it's just hard to separate these two at this point. Of course, if they end up taking each other out over and over again, man, Brandon's found his win. Maybe he claws back into the championship. Currently sitting pretty far back at this point. Brandon, with that victory, is able to separate himself a little bit from Davis Fisher, who had a solid bounce back there on the second night, gets a second place finish. Another podium for him. Seems to be somewhat back into form now that we're on the shorter tracks. And he was a force to be reckoned with at the Sturgis TT last year. Jared Vanderkooi, back in fifth. Trent Lowe put together a couple of decent rides there in Sturgis. Was probably expecting a little bit more out of him, but he sits sixth in points. James Ott, probably glad to be done with Sturgis. He's now seventh in points. Bromley up to eighth. Maxwell in ninth, and Logan McGrain still holding on to the top 10. The fight is on all the way to the finish here, and we're looking forward to seeing how things unfold in the Progressive American Flat Track Mission Super Twins Championship. Dallas Daniels, Breyer Bauman. Man, I feel like we need a UFC face-off before this season's over with. Do we get a press conference before we go into Lake Ozark? Hey, boys, if y'all want to have a one-on-one here on the YouTube channel at Flat Track Flashback before the championship season's over with, I will gladly be a moderator. I'll be full promoter, full boxing promoter type guy for you fellas. So, hey, holla at your boy. We'd be happy to do that. And man, I'm just excited to see this championship unwind. Like, selfishly, I can't even pick a favorite. I'm personally a huge fan of Dallas, a huge fan of Breyer. They've been massive supporters of us here at Flat Track Flashback, and they've been incredible people to us every time we've gone to visit them at an event. And man, just it's like seeing your friends get into a spat, fighting over a hot girl, and that hot girl is that championship that they're all trying to get a hold of. So, man, a lot of drama between them two now as we head into the closing stages of the season. And the sport needs it. We need these spicy, fiery rivalries, and we just hope that they can continue to have safe but aggressive battles all the way to the finish line. Hey, let's go, boys. Over in the AFT Singles class, man, Tom Drain put together quite the weekend. And I keep saying weekend. It was an early week race. We had Monday night flat track, and then the Tuesday night race as well. Monday night flat track, miles better than Monday night football. We all know it's true. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be watching this video. But man, Tom Drain, after a rough start to his triple challenge, he gets sixth there in that opening main event, but then bounces back to have an epic battle that second race with Cage Tadman. Cage running that high side, fighting that bike. It's all over the place, man. Cage Tadman should be, I feel like that guy should be our hero right now. He's, such a cool kid, and selling tickets, man, running the high line, fighting through bumps all over the place. The dude is Mr. Excitement. I thought that was Chase Sadoff in the past. I think Cage Tadman might be taking over the role of Mr. Excitement in this series. But yeah, puts together a good couple of rides there in the triple challenge, bouncing back after a couple of really tough weeks. The DuQuoin mile did not go great for him. And then the bike troubles that he had there at Lucas Oil, a track that I feel like he would have been definitely a contender for a podium or a top 5 at that track. But Cage bounces back, gets up into the fight there with Tom Drain. But with this triple challenge format, with the single, double, and triple points, there was other riders who were in the mix. Trevor Bruner got a victory there in the opening main event. He was in the hunt for the win overall. Chase Sadoff had stayed quiet and consistent, was 11 points back on the event points going into that third main event. So those 4 riders, Tom Drain, Cage Tadman, Trevor Bruner, and Chase Sadoff, all had a chance to bring home the gold. And we've talked about the weighted standings. I've had conversations on Tank Slapping with Corey about it. He's not a huge fan of the weighted standings, but I personally do. I feel like it makes that third main event a little more exciting. And hey, we agree to disagree on that. And that third main event, the weighted points came into play here. Tom Drain and Chase Sadoff 1-2, but it was Sadoff getting the victory, pulling it out, making those passes, and gets that full max 69 points versus Tom Drain coming home with the 57, apologies. Quick math there. It should be my forte, given what my other job is. But yeah, so Chase Sadoff closes the gap, gets the overall there for the singles class there, the triple challenge, and is able to get a victory there. He mentioned that those tight little short tracks, not necessarily his forte. We've seen him have to get real sporty at Winter Throwdown and Panhandle Clash in the past. So he can make it happen, but is able to get the better of Drain on this night. Drain comes home second, and Cage Tadman gets the overall third. Kind of a bummer for Bruner there, who started off so strong, riding that momentum from Lucas Oil, coming into a very short track, a place that looked like it might play into his strengths. But unfortunately, after winning that first main event, unable to back it up the rest of the night. Tadman, Sadoff, and Drain would settle it amongst themselves there on Saturday night. Cage Tadman getting the early lead and taking it to him those opening couple of laps, but Chase Sadoff rolling that higher line. We talked about on Saturday when they got that track a little bit smoother, lots of track prep going on before the main event. They were able to kind of roll in that second line and open up opportunities for passing. And Sadoff's able to get around Cage and take over the lead. And then Cage seemed to try to move his line up a little bit, which then opened the door for Tom Drain to take advantage of those openings. And in doing so, Drain moves into second and then has to try to run down his championship rival, Chase Sadoff. And Sadoff had a pretty solid lead. He felt like he was a slot car on rails when we got to hear his interview. So Drain would be starting to reel him in. An absolute hornet's nest behind Cage, who sort of lost touch with them, but a huge battle back there for fourth. As the race comes to its final, it comes to the crescendo, comes to the end, the last couple of laps, Drain's able to poke it up under Sadoff, gets the lead, and is able to hold on for the victory. A massive, massive win for Drain, who wasn't feeling well on the weekend, but is able to hold serve with Chase Sadoff and not lose any more points. This week could have been huge if Chase could have gotten it. Another win if he could have gotten the 2 wins there and cut the lead down to 15 and keep the pressure on Tom. Coming into a couple of TTs where Chase, he won Peoria last year, so we'll see what he can do there. We'll see what happens with the Sturgis TT itself. Chase struggled there in the streets, but then was able to pull together a solid result at the end of the day there last year. This particular TT course is going to be wildly different from that street race they did last year. So, man, lots of storylines there. But like we said, Drain battling through, not feeling so great to put that Essenson bike on top and keep that 23-point lead, keep that full race lead there with 5 rounds to go. And with how strong he was on the miles, you have to feel like he's probably going to be the favorite there at Springfield. And, can Cage Tadman become spoiler again? He's a strong TT rider, and I'm excited to see what Cage is able to do. This kid is putting together one of the most epic rookie seasons that I can remember. Aside from those two, the DNF and that rough run at DuQuoin, he's been inside the top 5 every single race, and he's closing in on the top guys in points. We mentioned Drain. He's got that 23-point lead over Sadoff. Bruner, unfortunately, you got to kind of feel like it was a missed opportunity there. He now falls a significant amount back in points, sitting 50 back of Drain. And then it's a dogfight from 4th on back to about 9th. Terrence Santero has 4th right now with Aiden Rusevans 4 points behind him. And then Cage Tadman is only a point behind Rusevans, only 9 behind buddy and teammate Terrence Santero. Then you've got Braden Fanders there in 7th. Jared Lowe moves up to 8th. Evan Renshaw, tough 3-race stretch after it seemed like he was building momentum through Lima and DuQuoin. Renshaw sits 9th now. And Chad Coase, after a rough triple challenge night, bounces back for a 4th. They were going at it there in the singles class on that second night. But we'll see the series move into the TT. And I'm going to save my adventure tracker talk for after the TT. I'll kind of wrap up the whole week of racing there as they head into they have a 4-round mini series here. And they'll have the race there in the Sturgis TT as well as the Peoria TT to close the adventure tracker season. But we head into Friday. Here we go. By the time you're seeing this, the Friday TT might have happened. My goal is to have this out on Friday so you guys can see this before the race happens. So I'll get to editing after I get my fresh haircut in the morning. In a few hours, actually, from the time of recording this. So, hey, thank you guys for checking us out. Support American Flat Track. Tune in if you can to the broadcast from the Sturgis TT. Let's see what the layout's all about. Let's see what the racing looks like. Let's see if we get more knockdown, drag-out fights for the victory. Will we see another new winner in each of these classes? Or will Drain, Sadoff continue to be the dominant forces in the singles class? Will anybody get in between Daniels and Bauman? How's that championship going to shake up? Only 11 points separate them right now. And, can Brandon Robinson keep the ball rolling? Not normally known to be a TT rider, but could this be the time where he just rides that momentum and carries home another victory? Maybe Davis Fisher, who looked super strong on the Sturgis TT last year. Can Jared Vanderkoy break this string of 5th, 6th, 7th place finishes and get up there in the mix? He had a really strong run in Sturgis last year on the TT course. But like we've said, the street race versus what they're going to get there at Jack Pine Gypsies is going to be wildly different. So, yeah, that's going to wrap it up. I know it's probably not my best performance on these videos that we've ever done, but I felt like we had to talk about it. We had to get something out there to keep the storylines going, to keep the talk of this rivalry going. I was a little bummed on the broadcast that we didn't get to hear from Dallas Daniels that night, but we did get Breyer's side. And, man, can we please get double boxes on these broadcasts? Because the replays, the full screen replays, and you miss 4 or 5 laps of a race, it feels like. We got to get the double box involved in that. And it would have been cool to see double boxes also to follow Brandon and to follow the charge through the field by Breyer and Dallas. We got to see a good bit of that, them charging through the field. So overall directing was great. I just wish they had double boxes to utilize. And I wish we could have gotten that reaction from Daniels there. The night of, we might hear from them on the Sturgis TT broadcast. Again, at the time I'm recording this, that race hasn't happened yet. But thank you guys so much for supporting this channel. Please support everybody that is making content around Flat Track. Please support these riders, these sponsors, these events in your local area. We'll catch up with y'all after the Sturgis TT, after the Knoxville Nationals weekend is done for me, and recap the Sturgis TT, recap all the adventure tracker stuff, get you caught up on what's going on up there in Flat Track Canada, and of course, got to touch on the cool story that's developing in Speedway GP as well. You know, I love my Speedway GP. Wish I could get over there to one of those races at some point, but that's probably a pipe dream. Pipe Dream's a great podcast, by the way. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. Make sure you're following along with Sturgis TT Racing. These rivalries are spicy, and they are going to be battles all the way to the end. Keep up on those storylines, and man, so many talking points. This sport freaking rules, and so do y'all. Thank you so much for supporting this, and we'll talk to you soon. Love you.